Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 49ers Triangular Table. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Jack Hammer. Also, Jose Sanchez at the same triangular table. The three of us are going to be talking about the San Francisco 49ers today. And Jack had a good idea. Let's compare this team on paper to the team that went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Really, it was like 15 months ago. No one thought that team was going to the Super Bowl. They surprised maybe even themselves. Definitely Adam Rank, who had him going 3-13. I had him going 6-10, just to be fair. How does this team compare? Better or worse? Where are the differences? Where are the similarities? Jack, you can lead us off.
I think when you look at this team right now on paper as they're currently constructed, they're pretty close to the same thing. They really haven't lost very many guys from that team. You know, I think their wide receivers, 1 and 2 wide receivers, are better than the starters were on that team in 2019. You're better at left tackle than you were then. I think you just upgraded your center spot. Right guard might be a little bit of a question mark, but Brunskill, I think, is going to be able to be better if he's the set guy that sets there and he's playing at right guard the entire season instead of all the flip-flopping like they did in 2020. I think he'll be better than Person was. So on the offensive side of the ball, I think they're going to be pretty darn good. Just really depends on what they do here with this draft pick. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you really haven't lost anything. You've kind of upgraded. If Jason Verrett stays healthy, you've upgraded your cornerback spot. I think Jason Verrett's going to be better than Richard Sherman was. The other side's still the same guy. Your 2 safeties are the same. Your linebackers are the same. The only guy that you've lost off of the defense is DeForest Buckner, really. That's a big loss to the interior pass rush, and you've lost D Ford on the edge. So, you know, if Ebicom can come in and fill that role of D Ford and allow Eric Armstead to step inside, I think you're looking at a team that's going to be pretty similar to 2020 to 2019. Just based off of that, depth's not going to be as strong, I don't think, but they got I think it's going to be really close.
I think you also got to take into account the coaches too. So I think 2019 one is better. I mean, I think we're projecting 21 to be way better than 2019. That's for sure. Cause I mean, now, you know, we now know how they fare when some of these players are healthy and do the development. But I'd say if we're trying to be like 2021 versus 2019, I'd say like 19 was better now that we know in hindsight, just because of, once again, I just think we're really underrating what Robert Saleh was doing. D'Amico Ryan, still a question mark. You don't know how Bosa's going to come off a torn ACL. D Ford, I'm just pretty much chalking him up as a miss. And, you know, like Jack said, it's about Ebicom, which at that point he's a variable. And then even Matt LaFleur, I know the offense is still going to be clicking, but how many times has Kyle Shanahan raved about having McDaniels and LaFleur help him crunch the numbers, crunch the playbook, and just build a plan scheme for the week. So, and then the right side of the offensive line is even more of a question mark than it was in 19. You know, I know that left side looks pretty solid, but I just think there's some question marks there too. I mean, it'd be one thing if like maybe you knew that rookie quarterback was really going to be somewhat very like to a stellar degree in rookie sense. But I think right now it's not looking. I think 19 is the favorite. It's just still going to have to just play out as how we see when it's all said and done.
I think the Buckner loss is really significant. I still think he was the best player on that defense that year, or at least the co-best player. Losing him had a domino effect, I thought. But still, other than that, they lost Kendrick Bourne. That's important. But they gained Jason Verrett. They didn't have Jason Verrett in 2019, and he's a better corner than anyone they had on that team. He's significant. You could make the argument that it really is 6-1, half dozen the other. It's the same team. It's just the reason people don't have confidence in it is because of one guy, quarterback. And it's fair. I mean, no one believes in Jimmy Garoppolo. Last year, Niner fans had his back after the Super Bowl loss. I think they might have been a little bit of shock, but it was like, no, forget Tom Brady or trading for Aaron Rodgers or whatever. We're sticking with Jimmy. Now it's like, we can't go one more day with this guy. We got to get someone else. So is it either injury-prone Jimmy? Is it the rookie? Who knows? But until they solidify the quarterback position, it's hard to take him seriously. Although, if Jimmy comes out and plays 16 games, he can do what he did 2 years ago. Maybe the Niners are like the bizarro version of the San Francisco Giants who won every even year. Maybe they're an odd year team, guys. Hard to say.
There you go.
Hard to say. All right. I will come back to that one. Why are Fields and Lance incorporating 49ers plays into their pro days? It's kind of an interesting way to sell yourself to a team. Mac Jones didn't do it. Why do you think those two are?
I think it's because Well, I think it's because they just know that first of all, of course, you want to get drafted number 3 overall. It's a higher payout. And then also the 49ers are the more ready team, playoff ready team. If any of these guys go to number 3 compared to, the typical top 8, top 10 team. Because remember, the 49ers traded into 3, and even them being ranked at 12, that was kind of an anomaly considering that, 80% of their team dropped. So I think in this case, I think in this case, it kind of means that for the 49ers sense, for them to even want to do this, it's a private workout to them because, COVID, you can't do that. And at least it means more than just your typical pro day. So I don't think there's not nothing there. I think that's something there. I think it means that the fact that they want to see him do that and they didn't care for Mac Jones, and pretty much at this point they know where Zach Wilson's going and whoever else they want to consider. I think that does mean something, that they just really want to see. Let's get a closer look, see how these guys work. You can't. It's not like it's going to be a hardcore, grade or judging because it's against air, but it is going to be something that just a little bit of a sprinkling of convincing to do on their part in terms of who they want to go at number 3.
Yeah, I think on this one, Trey Lance, when he did his first pro day, he incorporated 49ers plays into that was discussed. I think really the biggest difference here is that this was their second day, and this time because it was requested by the team and they worked with the team, it was a little bit different overall. So I think Jose's right. I think some of that is wanting to play towards them. I also think, the first time around, the coaching staffs weren't really able to get involved with it. This time, because it's more of a request from the teams, they're able to have their coaching staff out there and actually working with them as well. So I think that's really what the difference is here with this one. So it'll be interesting to see. It definitely makes sense. I mean, like I said, Lance already, we know that he's run some concepts at the 49ers, fields. I'm sure he already run some anyway at Ohio State. So it wasn't probably that big of a difference for them from what they normally would do.
Yeah, I just wonder, the reason why didn't Mac Jones do it? Maybe Mac Jones really feels like he's going to be the pick, and Justin Fields and Trey Lance are less confident, and they want to go over and above the Call of Duty and show the 49ers that they're making a big mistake or that they need to be taking them. I have no idea, but it just seems like something I would do if I wasn't 100% certain the team was taking me. Let me show you right now. Any potential questions you have, let me know. I'll rehearse. I'll show you in front of you, and you won't have those questions anymore. I don't know if it's like a sign of not feeling confident that you're going to be the pick, but apparently Vegas thinks Justin Fields is the odds-on favorite, so maybe he's just – I don't know.
Maybe Jones knows he's not going there, and he's trying to debut for the teams that are teetering around 10 to 15, do more of the basic offense.
Jones at Alabama, they run 49ers offense anyway, so running their normal stuff is running 49ers schemes too. That's part of it. But the one thing that goes against what I just said, though, is the fact that at the Fields Pro Day, and I believe Lance as well, the 49er coaches were able to get on the field with him.
Melvin says, how do you go from Deshaun Watson to Mac Jones? Explain. I don't think the world will ever quite understand if that's what happened. I mean, nothing against Mac Jones, but you put it that way. It's like, wow, plan A and plan B really had nothing. They were not exactly a Venn diagram. It was anyway, yeah, I see what you're saying, man. It's quite a come down, but if Kyle Shanahan's right, you'll like him. Here's the thing about Niner fans. They're very upset about the idea of Mac Jones. They will get on board. And how long will it take, guys? How long? 2 minutes? 4 minutes? 3.5?
I give them 24 hours. There's going to be some. This one's a little bit different. I think you're going to see people upset for about 24 hours until the next day, and then they'll start coming around to it.
I think it's going to be a good split. Until,
but there's a 72-hour rule with most things, relationships, fights. If you can't be angry for more than 72 hours, it's hard to be angry for more than. It takes a lot of effort. So I think the 72-hour rule could apply here. I'm with Jack though. 24 should be enough.
It's going to be 24-72. It's going to be no. And it's going to be all right, let's just see what he can do. And let's just sit back and watch kind of thing. I'll support him, but it's not going to be rah if it was Fields or Lance. You'll
see a lot of anger the night of because he'll be drinking and stuff and people have their hopes up. And then in the morning, you'll see a lot of people. Well, hold on a second. The Monday morning guys, people are real quiet. I remember this when I was at the Press Democrat. There were a lot of people who would comment on the live blog and the post-game grades. And those were the passionate ones. And there were some guys that you would not see them day of. And I wonder where they are. Sliding in 7 o'clock Monday morning. Wait a sec, everyone. You guys were emotional. I'm coming. Some people live for Monday morning. And I think there's going to be some of that after the draft. Am I wrong, Jack? You know what I'm talking about.
I was
You're
one of
not
the
wrong.
I was one of the Monday morning guys.
No, Rocket was king of the Monday morning. You were there. You were there all day on Sunday.
Sometimes, yeah. No, you're
Yeah.
right. There was a little bit of both.
Rocket lived for that, and he was great at it. He was. You were both very good. Anyway. Okay. Are the Niners delusional to ask for a first for Jimmy Garoppolo? Delusional. I mean, Jets couldn't get that for Sam Darnold.
Delusional. I don't know if I'd say delusional, but I don't think they're going to get a first. They're not going to get. I don't think somebody's going to just give them a first round pick necessarily. But we kind of, I think on this one, it's one of those situations where in order to get a first round pick, it's going to be a second at first, and then somehow, some way, based off of something that he's got to do with his new team, might kick it into a second round pick next year. I think that's probably what's most likely. But for one of our topics later on, I sure hope they can get a first.
I think they're delusional if they think he's worth the first, but I do not think they're delusional to ask for one because it's just, it's just basic business negotiations. Like I go high, you go low, and we find a middle ground, So I think in this case, like the best case scenario for me, thinking that, hey, if you can get a conditional third, and that turns into a second based on his starts, because that's pretty much what's going to be predicated on. I see no way that they can just get a straight up pick without it being conditional, given his history. He's missed almost about half his games. So you take that into account, it's going to have to be like no way on earth that some team is going to draft to even take a first from them. I mean, even the Patriots who love them, with the Patriots, Patriots is probably the only team that's going to go after him. There's no way Bill, knowing in his mind, he's like, I'm not going to, take it. I'm not going to, you guys paid a second for him. I'm not going to, increase his value even though his value is like even lower than when the time you guys got him. So I think that's what you're looking at, a third, maybe even a fourth from them. But I see no way in heck the ceiling for him is more than a third.
Feels a little delusional here. It feels like every day that goes by, every move that they make, every word that they say lowers his value. I mean, in 2 weeks, they're going to draft a quarterback. His value is going to go down. And then in training camp, if he's still on the team, he's going to lose the training camp, the competition, and his value will go down, or he'll win it and then he'll get hurt and his value will go down. I just feel like, I don't know why they're either holding on to him for one of two reasons. One, they're lying and they're going to trade him on draft day and they're just waiting to get as much as they can. Or two, they really are afraid that this rookie won't be ready to play next season, which is just unfathomable that they would trade up for someone that they don't think can play right away. I don't know. Which one do you think is more likely?
The one you said about them being ready. Because they knowing them, even though they took this big risk finally of going from 12 to 3, look at their past. They've been more like conservative, calculated risk side. So I guess in this sense, like, hey, we keep Garoppolo, and like what Jackson says to his county argument against me, hey, they could keep Garoppolo. It's not going to be a big deal if they keep him because even if they cut him, where's that cap space really going to go to this season?
Yeah, and I think if they do trade him, it's going to be after the first night of the draft. It's going to be in the lead up to the start of day 2. That's when we're going to see that movie.
Mm-hmm. How come?
Because at that point they have their guy.
Yeah.
And once they get their guy and they know they're locked in, that's when those conversations are going to start. It's going to be very similar to the McGlinchey deal with Trent Brown.
Yes.
You think the 49ers are going to have to give up a trap pick themselves? I think so.
They might have to.
They might have to.
Depending on how high they want to go.
Good point.
Yeah.
Peter says, would teams avoid choosing Jones for social reasons? All 32 teams passed on Dak for a DUI till 4th round, who was developed playing in the SEC too. What do you guys think? Hard to say. I guess we'll find out. I mean, it's possible, but everything we're hearing is that the answer is no.
But what the DUI though was from high school for Jones. Didn't Dak happen like the week of, or
it happened like the month of? Yeah,
that's hot boy, man. So we're just like was it Laramie Tunsil with the gas mask? That's also a reason why he fell. So
True.
recency bias does play into this.
That's a good point. Let's say Niners take Fields for 3 and they do exactly what you assume they would do with the rest of the picks this year. Super Bowl bound. I don't think so.
It's just no.
I don't think
so.
Fields is my starter.
The only way I would do that is if Fields actually turns into like Herbert from last year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule out, but I mean that's the only way I could see it.
I don't think so. I think they'd actually have a better chance getting someone like Sewell or Pitts and hoping that Garoppolo can make it through an entire season, but maybe that's a low chance too. But speaking of which would anger 49er fans more? Taking Kyle Pitts or Penei Sewell, trading all that capital for a non-quarterback, or Mac Jones?
McCorkle Jones. It's gonna be McCorkle Jones. I think it's this dude. Come on, man. Everyone's already like throwing stink bombs at the idea already about McCorkle coming over here. I just want to keep saying McCorkle. Ever since we started that 2-3 weeks ago on the live, man, I just been like, I'm telling cousins McCorkle Jones at 3. But no, I think it's 100% for McCorkle because at least like the same thing you've been saying, Grant. They should go for Kyle Pitts, and it's like I think Pitts instead of Jones wouldn't be terrible. But right. I think the fan base, the way it's going, the way they've been trashing him. We just said it like 5-8 minutes ago. the anger is going to be 24, 72-hour period. I would even go say it's farther than that because they just don't. Jones is not the sexy pick. You want that immediate impact player. Jones might not be it, at least not in my eyes, versus at least Pitts and Sewell. Like you said, Pitts is better than George Kittle. I mean, I don't know if I can go that far, but at least those two, oh my God, that's Twin Towers right there. That's disgusting on that offense. And at that point, Garoppolo has a bunch of weapons. Or even Sewell, at least you get there. You get more. You can solidify the offensive line, which you saw if he actually had clean pockets, he was actually being able to deliver. So I think in that sense they could come to grips at it, but then realize like that kind of was stupid. But I still think at least initial reaction, Jones would piss them off more.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Jose. It's gonna Jones is going to get everybody upset. At least with if they took Pitts, I think if they took Pitts, everybody would be sky high. There's a lot of people that really love Pitts, but if it was Jones, that's the one that's going to get the anger and the angst. Even Sewell to an extent, but not as much as Jones would.
I see what you mean because like no one really loves Mac Jones other than like his mom, his dad, Kyle Shanahan, and
how about
maybe
this,
Nick Saban. Like that's it, right? That's it.
I forgot to say because at least I think also the concept of Jones probably was going to be there at 12. Sewell and Pitts were not going to be there at 12.
Right, exactly.
Likely. So that's another thing.
Yeah. See, I feel like if the Niners did take Pitts or Sewell, they would get roasted by the national media and the local media. They would get a lot of people would be mad. I think that they didn't take a quarterback. Maybe I could be wrong. I would love it. There would be a segment of the population that think it was just the most galaxy brain genius thing you could do. But I feel like every national reporter would just roast him. I mean, really? And I would like it, but I don't know, it'd be bold. It would be bold, and I think they would catch a bunch of heat. But really, either way, they would catch a bunch of heat. I'm glad I'm not in their position. All right. No, wait. Hold on. I don't want to do that one yet. I want to go back to McGlinchey. Why have the Niners not picked up his 5th-year option yet?
I think the reason that they haven't picked up his 5th-year option is they're actually trying to get an extension done instead of the 5th-year option. If you look at what the Raiders just did this with their tackle that they took in that draft as well, that they took after him, and that deal is much better. They're actually able to do an extension with him, and it's much cheaper than if they do the 5th-year option to wait for another year. So I think that's the direction that they're trying to get to. And the only way they're going to exercise the 5th-year option is if they can't get an extension done in time.
Well, I don't know where Jose went, so it's just me and you for now. Why haven't the Niners picked up Mike McGlinchey's 5th-year option? You're probably right, but I'm going to say that maybe they're going to trade him on draft day. Oh, we'll see. Let's see what Jose has to say. Jose, why have they not picked up the 5th-year option yet?
They're probably pondering it a little bit. Well, let's see. When did they pick up? Oh, they didn't pick up. When did they make the decision on Solomon Thomas? That was like close to the deadline, wasn't it? Last year, right? About relatively.
I'll check it out. Hold on. You keep talking. I'll check it out.
Yeah. So I'm on two sides of this, depending on what you find out. They are. I feel like if you know that you want to keep him, you would have picked it up by now, wouldn't you?
That was May 4. That was May 4 they did that.
So they pretty much pushed it down
May
the
1,
line.
Yeah. May 1, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So they probably okay, same thing then. They probably were thinking, do we really want to keep this guy at like a 5th-year option, at that price? Because at least they kind of said like, oh, let's consider it. Because if we let him walk, then we can at the very least we get him a 1-year deal, but whatever. They let him walk, who cares? Solomon Thomas. Mike McGlinchey, on the other hand, if Kyle Shanahan was as much as confident, like that one presser when he said McGlinchey's going to be here for a long time or whatever he said, like, don't worry about McGlinchey if you're listening to this. Once again, I think if he was the guy, you would have already picked it up. But I think at this point, they're kind of pondering it a little bit. And plus also that, of course, they're busy with draft stuff. But I think for sure there's a segment of them, a part of them that's like really going back and forth, like, do we want to do it? I think they should. Because even at $10 million, that's not terrible for offensive tackle if he can bounce back next year. And then at that point, you'll be kicking yourself because then you really got to pay him.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they are going to do something like they did with Trent Brown. They say they like him, they say he's in the plans, and then draft day comes and they trade him. They draft an offensive tackle and trade Mike McGlinchey the next day. Probably not. And I'm not rooting for it. I'm rooting for Mike McGlinchey to return to the 49ers and play well, just like I'm rooting for Justin Fields. My two favorite players in 2021 are Justin Fields and Mike McGlinchey. I'm a Mike McGlinchey fan, and I'm not afraid to say it. So I'm hoping they keep him and give him a long-term extension and that he puts on 25 pounds and gets back to playing the way he should have. So go Mike. Go big.
Dude, Mike McGlinchey, I think Mike McGlinchey weighs only like 80 more pounds than me. Was he like 280, 290?
Don't you dare slander Mike McGlinchey. I won't let it happen. I won't allow it. All right. What would taking Mac Jones – let me rephrase it. Would taking Mac Jones jeopardize Kyle Shanahan's legacy more than if he were to take other players? Who wants to go first?
As legacy? All right, go ahead. You go first. Grant's going first. That's a unique thing.
I mean, I just feel like everyone's telling Kyle, don't do it. Don't take Mac Jones. And he's going out on a limb if he does it. And if he were to take Justin Fields, a lot of people think he should take Justin Fields. And if he were to get it wrong, people wouldn't say like, boy, Kyle, you don't know your ass from your elbow. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. If he says he's the smartest person in the room, everyone's wrong about Mac Jones, I'm taking Mac Jones and he's wrong. I mean, his legacy might never be the same. People might never let him pick a quarterback again. He might be relegated to coach who can't pick the players. I think it's high stakes if he takes Mac Jones because no one else would do it. What do you guys think?
1,000%. Because at least, you want to pick the guy who has the more physical traits. And I think it's the same thing. Like we just said like 2 questions ago, you probably would have got him at 12. So what was the point of going all the way up to get him in the first place? Were you that just like that infatuated Kirk Cousins level? Which at this point, probably, yeah, because in 2017, Kyle realizes I better just pull the trigger on the guy I like now if this is his ideal / dream quarterback than waiting like a whole season, because he'd rather just fire the trigger and just make it happen immediately. But I think it's just the pressure rises because, you had Fields, you had Trey Lance, these players that you've raved about saying, oh, these players are the top 10 quarterbacks, but you're going to go ahead and grab a quarterback who is not in your own top 10 category, Kyle Shanahan. So I think it definitely, pressure rises and it feels like it's more doomed to fail because I guess everyone says like he's higher floor, he's safe. But how many times have the 49ers done that? They did it with McGlinchey and Thomas. How'd that pan out? So I just think that it's about time you find, at least people respect them for taking a larger swing on someone who ideally has the bigger ceiling, somewhere that you don't have to handhold in terms of the offense.
Yeah, as far as the question, would taking Jones jeopardize Shanahan's legacy? No, it's going to enhance it because Jones is the best quarterback in the draft, and he's going to prove that when he plays with him.
Love it.
So I don't think that's going to – I don't think it will. I think it's the opposite. I think when you put them in them together, I think it would be the best combination that you're going to get in this draft.
That's the fair point. Like what would jeopardize his legacy is getting it wrong. All I'm saying is if he gets it wrong with Fields, a lot of people would be going down with him. I mean, so many respected analysts around the league are saying you got to take Justin Fields. It's not like he's putting himself on a ledge by himself, going out on a limb for this pick to take Justin Fields. Doesn't mean it's the right way to go. If he takes Mac Jones, he'd be going out on a limb. He loves to do that. He lives to do that. And if he gets it right, then he's back to being Kyle Shanahan, the guy who's smarter than everyone else. If he gets it wrong, then there's going to be a lot of people who are like, dude, that was the dumbest pick of all time. No one thought you should have done that. Everyone was telling you to do this. You had to be the smartest dude in the room. I'm just saying I hope he takes Mac Jones because the stakes will be so high. It's either he was right and everyone else was wrong, or everyone else was right and he was wrong. I mean, how do you not love a guy who puts himself in that position?
I don't think he wants Mac Jones anyways, so I don't think it's just people telling him. I think
you know what I'm saying, though, right? I mean,
yeah,
he does raise the stakes on himself if he takes Mac Jones, and I love it.
1,000% easily.
From our standpoint, that Mac Jones is the best thing that he could do because it's going to make there's just so many more interesting storylines. I think going into 2021.
Absolutely,
Mac Jones.
I'm definitely praying that they take Mac Jones. I mean, if they take Justin Fields, Niner fans are happy, and then I gotta hold my tongue for about 6 months, and I can't be too hard on him in training camp.
First, no, you are. Yes, you are.
But if it's Mac Jones, oh boy, it's open season. And he may be great. I'm not saying I have anything against him, but it's like, wow, the emotions that are going to run high. It's going to be just so choice. Okay, I don't know why I clicked on that. Hold on. Let me unclick on that. Mon Jones. Yeah, that's the one I wanted to click on. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. No, we have a couple more. Potential wide receiver targets for the 49ers. I've been doing this with all my guests. This is a fun topic because we all know they're taking a quarterback, but we also all know they're taking a wide receiver. They do it every year. Sometimes they take two. Last year they took two. They need a replacement for Kendrick Bourne, who's like as much of a starter as Kyle Juszczyk is. So who do you think? You got some names?
I'm going to go with a couple of them. Kadarius Toney out of Florida would be one of them. And then my other option, I think, would be Tyler Wallace out of Oklahoma State. Those are two guys that I think would fit in with what they're looking for or what they would need out of that third receiver, which is really a slot guy. I think those are two guys that would fit in really well.
Wouldn't mind Elijah Moore just because of the slot. I mean, in my sense, if they go with that second pick, because the second pick at that point, I feel like you just got to get someone who's a capable starter. Maybe it would be a stretch, but just someone who's like you can just put in there immediately. And so what did Bourne do pretty solidly? He came through the slot. I know Stebo and Ayuk can go around there, but I'm sure Kyle Shanahan wants to keep him more outside. So put him in there, and he fits that toughness mold, which is pretty much resonates with almost everyone top to bottom.
Yeah, Amari Rodgers is one. He's a good one. He's kind of like Debo. He's shorter, thicker. Elijah Moore, as you pointed out, is a terrific slot receiver who's fast and he would fit. I can come back to Kadarius Toney. He's currently listed at like 24 on CBS, but like I saw there was like an article today, like that he had gotten some issue at school with like airsoft guns and rocks. I don't know. It sounds kind of like stupid kid stuff, but it sounds like the kind of thing that might affect the guy's draft stock on draft day. Who knows? So if he falls to 43, I mean, that seems like the Niners pick, no doubt. But I don't know if he'll be there. And I don't know if they would trade up for him. I don't know. He's good, though. He's really, really good. Exactly.
I feel like not that many receivers are going to get taken in the first round, not compared to last year. Maybe like 3 or 4.
Yeah. All right. Last one. Go out on this one. This is cool. A bold prediction for the 49ers draft. Preferably with the number 3 pick or whatever you want to do. It could be about Jimmy Garoppolo. Who knows?
I'm gonna do a couple different things. I'm gonna say that at number 3, the 49ers are gonna go with tight end. And they're gonna bring in the kid from Florida who I'm blanking, Kyle Pitts. That's
I like it.
They're gonna go with Kyle Pitts at 3. Instead, they're gonna go with the best player available at 3. He fits in really well with them if that's where they go because he fills the need of that slot receiver that they need. Plus, George Kittle's contract is going to be done in about 4 years. That allows him to slide out. That money that went to Kittle now goes to Pitts. It's a smart way like that, from that standpoint. And then they trade Jimmy Garoppolo, get a second-round pick for that. And then they trade both of their seconds back into the first, back up to 15, and to get Mac Jones at 15.
Oh, my God. That is the boldest prediction I've ever heard. I love that. That was fantastic. Get them both.
Jose's trying to figure it out right now. I just blew his mind.
You just blew his mind. Look at his face. Look at his face.
I was gonna kind of say something. I was gonna say Pitts at 3. I was gonna say Penei Sewell at 3.
Ooh.
Then they're gonna package the second and whatever else they want to feel like. Say the second, third, maybe next year's pick, whatever, into the first and get Mac Jones. Because Mac Jones is gonna slide in the 20s, man. He's gonna slide in there. They're gonna take Mac Jones in the 20s, and it's gonna be like almost like a little twister right there, where it's you get the solidification for the future, you get your quarterback. And then while everyone thought everyone was going to go quarterback at 3, it's like, no, we actually got him in the 20s, and Garoppolo's pretty much sayonara. We're pretty much going to recoup what we just got to go get into the first from second, and then boom, now we're set for years to come with our offensive line with Trent Williams, Sewell, and our quarterback.
I like it. I'm still – my mind is blown at Jax. I think that is so clever. The idea that, maybe Mac Jones has been their target the whole time, but not at 3. That they take someone else at 3 and find another way to get at Mac Jones. Like everyone's baffled. Like, why would they have to go to 3 to get Mac Jones? You don't have to do that. He might have been there at 12. Yeah. Maybe they do that, man. I like that. Okay, I don't have a bold prediction. My boldest prediction is this. I think there's going to be a huge surprise at number 3. I don't think it's going to be Mac Jones or Justin Fields. Everyone's thinking it's going to be one or the two. I think there's going to be something really shocking that happens, whether it's Pitts, whether it's Sewell, whether it's Lance, whether it's Wilson. One of those 4 things, I think it's going to be really, really exciting. Maybe I'm just rooting for it because the other 2 just seem boring. I mean, Mac Jones would be fun to see Niner fans get mad. Justin Fields would be awful to see Niner fans that happy. I hate that kind of stuff. Like, go celebrate on your own time. You know what I mean?
Dude, I hope not, because then that means I got to prep like 6 to 8 articles then that day.
I know. But no, I think there's going to be a big, big surprise at the number 3 pick. That's my bold prediction. I don't know what it's going to be. I hope it's Pitts. I think Pitts would be the best. I think it would be the smartest pick they made in such a long time. No one questions him. No one. The worst one you can say is he's not a dominant blocker. Who cares? Who cares? He's bigger and faster than Devontae Smith. So you can put him a wide receiver. What would the issue be? I think he's such a stud. And if there's basically 3 players in this draft that have no questions. Lawrence, Sewell, Pitts. They should get one of those guys. They're in position. They have the number 3 pick. They can guarantee they get one of them. It'd be too bad if they let one go, but
they're going to let one go.
What other quick bold prediction? This isn't a 49ers prediction, but I'm going to bet that you're going to see New England trade up to the 8th spot with Carolina to take a quarterback, because one of these quarterbacks is going to slide. And if one of them slides, they're going to trade up to that 8th spot with Carolina. Carolina doesn't need a quarterback anymore. See what they give up, and they're going to like Justin Fields or Trey Lance if either one of those gets to 8. Those are going to be their 2 guys.
That's true. That being said, though, the Patriots, if they do what they usually do, which is draft someone like Jared Stidham in the mid rounds, Davis Mills all day. Davis Mills. Oh, I'm saying it. I'm calling it. If round 1 passes and they don't make a move for a quarterback, I guarantee they take Davis Mills. He is such a Patriots quarterback. Anyway, that's my bold prediction. I'm sticking to it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Jack and Jose, for participating on a Thursday afternoon. Go enjoy yourselves. We're done for the day. Take care. See you guys soon. All the best.